Hello, we got Miles the mouth of noodles.
Amazing.
And welcome to an extra special episode of Bouba Babble because we have an extra special babbler with us today. Best known for that one episode of Let's Have a Booba and the musical language that David wishes he'd made. Hey.
Yeah. Lavuna was here a minute ago, but she's not here anymore.
Maybe we'll be
She may come back
by Lavuna's presence.
Yes, hopefully.
And you know, Miles, we can move on.
Yeah, I'm here.
So the reason we have brought Jonathan in today is not for their specialism in Inkscape, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Or far superior ability at digital drawing. It's to talk about our stint on YouTube's premiere Conlang themed game show that's definitely not based on Family Feud for legal reasons.
For legal reasons,
certainly not.
It was quite funny because I did tell David the name would need to be changed, and did he believe me? No.
Was he just gonna call it Family Feud?
That's the impression I got. I mean, if David ends up watching this, like, we'll see.
Okay.
I think ending up is a pretty positive probability right there. There's a good. I would take those odds that he would watch this. In that case,
since he watches all of our other content so religiously.
Yeah, they were first stan. I'm so proud.
Yeah, our first heckler.
Yeah.
So, let's start at the beginning. So after we had a long time. Well, I guess we all had a long time to think about this one because of some minor technical difficulties.
Yes.
But me in particular, as the person who's supposed to be guessing first, what is your favorite noun case was essentially the question. And did I guess vocative or did I guess locative?
I think vocative came at the end, right?
Yeah, I think you guys.
Oh, yeah, locative is at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah.
We're gonna have to end up scrubbing through the video to work out the order things happened in.
This though, like how people did like respond to this, I thought was very interesting. I am surprised that people said nominative because it is just like a very generally unmarked case.
I wonder if people were thinking of it like probably a lot of people have not thought about having a favorite noun case in the first place, and so they might have just gone to like, what do I use the most? And that would just be there by default.
That makes sense.
That's a guess anyway. Because I don't think I'd ever thought about that particular question before taking this survey.
No.
I certainly don't remember what I answered.
Okay, so I've rolled back the tapes.
Oh, excellent.
You specifically didn't answer anything.
Me?
So it was me and Jesse in the head-to-head. I went second. So Jesse guessed dative first, and then I guessed ergative, thinking that people were gonna be like trying to do the most. And I was wrong. I was let down, and I started how I went on. Essentially, I mean, all of these questions, like, it's nothing against David because this is exactly the sort of thing we would expect from these sorts of surveys. Sure. But the whole question of what's your favorite this or favorite that, it's always so weird
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite color? Like, any of the, like, what is your favorite blah, blah, blah? Like, it changes with the times. Like, I think I answered instrumental to this, and I don't know if today me would say that anymore. I think it's a good case. I think I would say something different, whether or not I don't know what that is, but it's fickle.
I think my favorite cases are all of the obscure ones. But you can't really guess like that, because if they're obscure, not that many people are gonna go with them.
Correct.
That could also be why nominated got it, because it did only have 7 people answering that. So it was probably just like that the vote for all the obscure ones was so divided.
That's a good point. I do want, like, I would love to see like the metadata for some of these. Like,
yes,
this one in particular. Others I couldn't plus.
Yeah, at least just I want to see the numbers beyond the first 6.
So what happened was instrumental, locative, and genitive were all guessed, and then we stole it by guessing vocative.
Right.
I remember us being like, we were deciding between nominative and vocative, and which was great because like they
had exactly the same number.
Exactly, we had a shoe in.
Yeah.
We were going to get that regardless.
Any final comments?
No.
I
wonder
think this was an
how many
interesting
answers.
One. It kind of establishes the pattern for a lot of the questions. Where you, if you know the community well, you can probably guess the number one answer. If you don't know it so well, it's like, why is that there? I was genuinely kind of shocked by how prominent the instrumental case was.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone answered oblique, and if so, what David thought of that.
I hope someone did. Just
you know, that might have been. I literally might have done that just for that reason, that I don't have an actual favorite. And I think there were a couple of questions I answered that way.
Screw a core case. Just anything oblique. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
This next question, though. It's weird that people actually socialize with non-conlangers. That's bizarre to me.
Yeah, who does that?
Like, who does that? Like, who has a polycule of non-conlangers? It's weird.
Considering that this isn't on the video, the question is, what one question are you tired of answering from non-conlangers?
Which I remember what I said for this one, and I said the last one. I said like how many languages you can speak, which is a question that I have got myself from this, and
same.
I'm surprised how low it is on that. But then, granted, like I think like the open-endedness of like why do it, I think that is like tantalizing, and I think like people kind of just like. I don't know. I think that is a common question people get. But
so this one is, I think,
a lanternfly just flew up my apartment. So remember, everybody kill those lanternflies. Find the species. Continue.
I think that the how many languages do you speak? Maybe for a group of conlangers, we associate it more as a question that gets asked to linguists specifically.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I don't know that I've gotten that one.
That's a good point.
But I also don't. I tend to avoid mentioning conlang stuff unless I'm prepared for a long conversation, because I know that it will become one, or else it will be a short and extremely awkward one. And either way, it's like
the entry into it, like, into the conversation talking about conlanging is always kind of like a weird one too, where it's like, oh, like what'd you do this weekend? And you're like, well, where do I start?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the top answer was why do it? Second was can you speak it? Third is what is that? This
I'm surprised that
like,
even
why
made
not
it
learn a
on.
nutlang instead? It's like it's such a it just has so many assumptions attached.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's such a strange one because it's like I feel like one of those assumptions is probably, oh, you must be making this language in order to use it in some particular context, and in that case, why not use a natural language? And it's like, no, that is not the reason.
No.
But also, it's like, I don't know. I'm composing a piece of music. Oh, well, why not learn the oboe instead? It's like they're not even equivalent things.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But it's also quite funny because this is also coming through the lens of it's the Conlang community mostly that are answering this, right?
Yeah.
And so there must be a number of people who have asked this. I suspect maybe from like the Klingon and like Na'vi and those the communities which are closer tied to like groups that actually do learn the languages that they make.
I don't know like what the demographic like of the survey answerers was, because I know it was being, it was posted to various places by David and spread by some other people, but I feel like that's mostly going to end up on the like our side of the Conlang universe of like people who make them, but there must have been some people who answered it from the other side.
Yeah, I think
so. And if so, that would make a lot of sense.
And that was like 14. That was like and these are
seven
people.
7 people.
7 people. Yeah. Interesting. I also would love to see kind of like for those who did answer that, like what, because I mean, I think that assumption is fair, Jonathan. Like that, like this is for communities that like actually learn to speak like Klingon or whatever not. But like I wonder what the breakdown of like those different like Conlangs would be. I think like Esperanto would probably be up there.
Was there? There was no sort of question in the survey that was like, I mean, at least not directly asking, "Are you a person who makes Conlangs?" But there were a lot of questions that like indirectly would have done that.
Yeah.
Like there were questions like, "How many active Conlang projects do you have?"
Yeah. What do you?
Which obviously the answer could be 0 if you're someone who's primarily interested in learning Conlangs, but like there's no sort of selection for that, so it's kind of unclear.
Yeah.
But like you said, the metadata would be interesting on that, because I bet you would see some groupings if so.
I remember like David saying last episode about how like the variance of the data was like either it was just like extremely like fucking like low standard deviation, or it was just like here's one and then like little boops. And of course, like the ones that have like not one like standard deviation ain't gonna be a good family feud one. Like it's impossible. You're just like throwing a dartboard at it. Yeah, that's my spiel.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to what might be one of the more contentious questions?
Possibly.
Okay. So, for everyone out there, this question went very interestingly. The rules about discussing with the group were formalized after this happened.
Yes.
Because so for those that don't remember, Bib, was it Bib who guessed 5 to 9?
We should probably say what the question was first.
Okay.
No.
So the question is, what age were you when you started conlanging? And what was it? It looks like it might have been Edgar.
I think it was. because I would go up against Bib. So this was Jonathan's and Edgar's question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Jonathan guessed 16 to 19 and won it for us. And we played it.
Right.
And that was the second answer. I followed.
Yeah.
And I guessed. Did I just guess 10?
Maybe.
Yeah, it was a range.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I guessed 10. And we got the category was listed as 10 to 12 years old. And so for those who, because you can't see the question, there is what to me and Jonathan was a very clear gap between the number 12 and the number 16.
Yes.
And then I pop in being like, because I was wrestling with like what it was, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I think like in a lapse of judgment, I went with like 19 to 21 because like, oh, you go to college, maybe you haven't heard of it. There's that weird like hippie dippy professor, maybe like a Professor Peterson, who teaches you how to Conlang something through like a daily 365 sort of thing. Who knows? I'm making shit up.
I think that guess is like totally fair in isolation
too,
because that's right around when I started. I was like either 18 or 19. I don't remember. So it would have been somewhere, or I guess no, that would have been 20 plus, but still close to that age.
I think like that for me, like I remember like formalizing a lot of it, like maybe like 20 in my early 20s.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this is going to be something that comes up again where when I think when you're trying to guess these answers and there's only one on the board, it's so much pressure. Especially if there's like two or three options where you're trying to pick between them. And I think if you go with I felt like you went with your gut. That was probably what was in your head before you saw the categories come up, right?
Yeah.
It may also, for me, I felt like in every episode, and I think this is just because I wasn't super familiar with the format, I was always so tempted to answer the question instead of answering what I thought other people answered.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was always so ready to just like, especially when buzzing, because I was like trying to think as quickly as possible, and I would just like think of my answer, and it would be like I'd have to take a second and be like, nope, that is not what I'm supposed to do.
Check if you're popular. If you happen to be the same thing, then you're number one.
Yeah. I think in some cases that totally works, and maybe not so much in this instance.
Mm.
I was just going through the video to try to figure out the answer, and I just happened to pause on the exact moment that we found out that the wrong answer had been given. I see the giant red Daur, and I see Miles going in the back. It's amazing.
I think I like dissociated for like 15 minutes after doing that.
No.
Probably so. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I coached you through it a little bit.
The RSD is like
it was just
flashing. Woo!
Miles was like, I know, I've cost us our place in this whole competition.
Yeah. I'm a very competitive person. Like extremely. So like if any sort of like fault like peers to the veneer, nope, I'm done. Goodbye. Like I was just like as a kid, just like if I could sense like the losing happen, I would flip the board game table.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
So it takes us to the final scores.
I mean, the scoring is just so like the format is just such that like the score almost doesn't reflect at all the actual performance.
Yeah.
It's kind of absurd in a fun way, but it's also like looking at these numbers, it's like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That lowly like 8.
Yeah, for context, 141 points for our team and 332 for Team Langtime Studio. Which
now, do we want to go through the bonus round?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Because I can't remember what the categories were, and I don't think they're written anywhere, so we'd have to listen. Or do we just guess?
Okay.
I remember the Hasselmath one is like.
Are these all
like linguist's favorite person?
Yeah, some of these are definitely favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Would people have answered verb for their favorite part of speech? Or is that favorite part to work on in a commonly? Like what? I don't know. I don't remember.
But what do they leave till last?
The VSO word order. Or like, what is your favorite word order?
VSO is definitely best word order.
I think I remember when like I was hearing the questions for the linguist, I remember thinking like Eichenwald. That was where my first like mind went to.
Okay, the question was favorite part of speech.
Oh, okay. Then
when people answered verbs. I have a feeling that would also have one least favorite. I feel like verbs are very polarizing.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
But it's also that either like there's nouns and there's verbs, and nouns they're either boring or they're medium.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like verbs have such a spectrum of usage. I don't know. Are there languages where nouns are as cool as verbs?
I feel like if you have some cool derivational strategies, if you do some cool stuff with noun classes, then you can have some really cool nouns, but by default, probably not.
Guarani puts tense on their nouns.
I've heard that said. I have heard that said.
It's very, very, very water of it.
It's very water language. Yeah. It's giving pouch.
Shady people.
And if Quill comes up for not the first time in this game show.
Yes, this is the one I was like the most certain of in this whole section.
Because I think anything comes up and it's like X Conlang does X thing that is the most X, and you would say if Quill, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, any day.
Unless it was like being small, in which case it's Tokipona, or like I don't know what else.
I don't know, the one David made before Tokipona existed.
Okay, well, you know. Did people know that one though?
No, that's why David has to bring it up. The Abugida one. That's the best form of writing system, isn't it?
I think so.
Favorite style of writing system, yeah.
Style.
Kind of a surprise, I guess.
Especially considering it includes alpha syllabary is not the same as this. Syllabaries would have been counted separately, surely.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I feel like they work for so many kinds of like syllable shape. That if you're not going for an alphabet, which you're usually not because you want it to be different to English or non-European, then you go for the abugida, because I think abugidas in the heads of English speakers, they make a little bit more sense in how you use them, just because abjads, if you're used to languages that really depend on vowels to communicate the meaning, they must. But even then, like Quechua has a 3-vowel system, and it doesn't even really use a length distinction. And I would be lost without the vowels.
Interesting.
I just think abjads. Are there abjads that aren't used for Semitic languages?
I had that thought too. I don't think there is.
Time to visit everyone's favorite conlanging resource, Wikipedia.
I mean, I love how it says abjad alphabet.
Well, because the conceptually they don't seem that far away from each other?
So we are also collectively younger than the term Abjad.
Really?
Yes, according to
we are collectively. Wouldn't we
What do you mean
assume that?
Yes, so according to Peter T.
Oh,
Daniels,
look at that.
the term was introduced in 1990.
You
So
mean we are older than the term Abjad?
No, we're younger.
No. Right. None of us was
Wait,
born before 1990.
I'm like, oh, 90, the one after 99.
No, 1989 is a Taylor Swift album. Together.
I had to reveal to a bunch of international students the other day that I hadn't studied maths since I was 15, and they were all happily survived without maths. And I thought I was doing fine until I realized that I didn't know what statistics was.
Yeah, sorry for bringing up standard deviation.
Sorry, what?
I'm just like, the standard deviation is 0, and Jake is like, I don't know what a statistic is.
Yeah. Like, I've done box and whisker plots, but...
Oh, God, don't bring me back to 5th grade. I'm good.
They're... wait a minute. That's... Okay. Looks like maybe a couple, but not very many. Almost all the ones in the list on the Wikipedia
have been used with non-Semitic languages because, wait, is Hebrew considered? Hebrew is it an abjad or is it an alphabet?
It's an abjad.
It's an abjad, especially how it's used mostly these days, because they don't bother with the vowels. There's like, you use the consonants to indicate vowels sometimes. Like, you can use an extra vowel if you're not writing the vowel points to indicate an oo sound, but like, for the most part, I mean, that's like, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, I see how it's organized now. Oh.
And also, like, seeing that they call the ones that have like marks to indicate vowels optionally impure. It's like
linguists love a loaded term.
Yeah. Like basically, I mean, someone could fact check us on this, but like I was gonna say, oh, Arabic's used to write like Indonesian, for example, but I don't think that you would use Arabic to write Indonesian and then leave out all the vowels.
Yeah. Right. Well, like how the Hebrew writing system, whatever you want to call it, is used for Yiddish also, but in that case, it is used as an alphabet. But I mean, that's also like when the Phoenician alphabet was getting borrowed, and it was sort of like in a weird transition state, I'm sure, for a while, and then they were like, let's invent some vowels. That's how that went, I'm sure.
I think like it seems like abjads were conceived in a Semitic framework and then potentially mapped onto like other families. That seems to be the case.
Yeah.
And now I'm panicking that I think it looks like a language that was designated specifically as Indonesian because it's a colonial product. Was never written using the Arabic script. It was specifically Malay written with Jawi. But
interesting.
But Indonesian is like a standardized form of trade Malay. So, and again, comment if we're wrong because we're probably like not an expert.
No, we are collectively not an expert.
I've been watching 90 the Other Way, and they're in Indonesia, and that's my exposure. They're making bananas. It's great. And
I love that. Okay.
So
I would have done for the. This is not going to make sense with, again, sorry that we don't want to really pop the answers on screen and then take them off again every time. I don't think I said, I think I put Patience Epps as the linguist that most informs my conlanging, or whatever the question was.
That's
but I think it's because for me, when I answered the questionnaire, I answered it personally. And then I was like, nobody knows who this linguist is unless you study like specifically Amazonian languages, I think.
Yeah.
And so then I'm panicking because I'm like, who does everyone like? And okay. So it's day 2 in the workroom, and we're discussing what is the best vowel phoneme.
Oh no! Yeah. Okay.
I don't think this
was-
represents what are the best vowel phonemes. Just
Oh, obviously not.
No, my God.
So the answers having been sorry, not O. That was just me saying the word O. E U the one I can't say, and O. The I can never do it. It's high, central, unrounded.
So
Put it in the Conlang, but I can't say it.
You, or was it me? I guessed it, didn't
you? Said E. I remember you saying E. And I remember that, I don't remember what you said, Jonathan, but I remember saying, like, I remember saying and being like, this is the one that I want. And they'd be like, are you sure? Are you sure you want this one? I'm like, yes, I want this one. And it's like, no, I
feel like this is one where the only way I felt like I was able to answer it was to answer for myself, because I didn't know what people would want. And I like the low, mid, ones. Those are my favorites. So I think that's maybe what I went with.
I think you did say
Yeah. I really thought would be on there. Like, I was surprised that neither nor a was there.
This is just a weird...
We didn't quite go into the full details of what happened. Miles was saying but
oh, that's right.
Yeah. You were trying to say,
I was insistent on it being central. That was my mistake.
Right, but you were pronouncing it extremely far back.
Yes.
So we were all just like, what?
And so we got through this really long process of David trying to work out what vowel it was.
I remember that. It was just like pulling it out.
And it took ages to like communicate that it was you that I wanted as well.
That one seemed clearer to me, I thought.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, ooh. I don't know. And then I panicked, and I think I was like, ooh. And then I was like, oh no.
You know what might have happened with that one is that because in your accent, the U sound is already so much farther forward than ours, he might have been like overcorrecting and hearing like the English phoneme, which he thinks of as the back vowel, when you were pronouncing the front one. That might have happened.
You. No, don't mixing.
I mean, it's also not you, but like it's closer to that than what we say.
You leave the yods off all the time, and that's just well, I guess I coalesce mine. So, but it means that the gap is between like Tuesday and Tuesday, and then somewhere in the middle are the very posh people saying Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh god, Tuesday. To me, it's not the Tuesday; it's the Tuesday.
What? Oh.
So this gives like massive like Tim Walz energy. Like I think he would be a Tuesday person and not like a Tuesday person.
Mm-hmm. Tuesday,
man. Tuesday. I remember like also like because this was my my middle school principal, and he would not say wrestling; he would say wrestling unironically. And I'm like, maybe that's where I learned how to fuck up my vowels from that man. Like,
okay. So then it was E, which I think you guessed, Jonathan.
Did I? I don't know.
Oh no, it
No,
was
because I had
George.
guessed E.
George guessed E. Yeah, so there was the A betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was the air.
Mm-hmm.
No, because okay, and then it's just David going through. Oh, was the final one that I had guessed?
Yes, I remember that because when you said and I told it that war, I went and then it popped my face up, and I was just saying the vowel just like so loudly, and like
And then to see the bad eye on that, I was just like,
I had totally forgotten that was an answer to this one because I think I guessed that for the least favorite, like the worst ones in another episode because I thought people wouldn't like it. And if I had remembered from this episode that it was in this list, I probably wouldn't have.
I think that when I answered, I might have said schwa just to get back at David.
I think also that could be the proliferation of the central vowels. It's like I think the like maybe could have been like a feather ruffler.
Yeah. Because I know that U is also like a lot of people's favorite. It's like
it's just cute.
Which one? Sorry.
E.
Don't do this to me again, Jonathan.
Sorry. I was busy expressing a sneeze, so I wasn't able to hear you the first time. Just sneezing, yes.
I hate it when I express a sneeze.
Express?
Wait, what did? Oh, you said
suppress. Yes, or at least I tried to.
I was
like a lie. Shove it down.
Like, oh yes, that's the verb collocation. I express the sneeze. Don't you hate it when you express a sneeze? I mean, I do hate it when David expresses a sneeze and it's incredibly loud.
Yeah, I was prepared to mute myself if necessary, but then
good
it happened.
I hate sneezing while driving, but that's another sort of story.
Oh my god, yeah. I tend to sneeze in groups, so it's like.
Oh,
do you mean groups of sneezes or groups of people?
Groups of sneezes. Like I usually do at least 3 at a time.
Okay, I was like, you only sneeze.
I thought you only sneeze if people are around.
Can you imagine? Turns out I'm just allergic to other people.
I mean, honestly, same.
I wish.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes, let's.
Okay.
Oh.
What is your favorite non-conlanging hobby or pastime? And none of us could think of anything.
I knew what I would have said.
Forgot that
I
video
would have
games
gone for video games immediately. I have no idea how anyone didn't think of that until quite near the end.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I was going to say.
Did you answer this, Miles?
I did. I answered, I think, writing.
No, writing came later.
Or did I not say anything that was up there?
I think that must have been what happened. Or did you say reading?
Maybe. Yeah, I said reading. Not exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, where do you get exposed to conlanging? In books. Like, to me, I was going to say board games before I'd have said video games. but also like video games are just like ever prevalent.
I think that people got, obviously for some of these, the conlanging part of it is important, but
I think it was totally irrelevant in this case.
Yeah, for video games and music,
got stuck on
there was
thinking
no
stuff that was related,
link, right?
Yeah. Well, for music, but no, that's just me.
Well, and Miles brought up like that Icelandic band in our Conlang interview.
He did.
That was cool to know. My sister likes them too.
I remember like being on the bus going to middle school and staring out like the window, like on a cold, like brisk November morning, and like hearing like Hopi Potla and just like crying my eyes out, just like bawling before I even got to school. It was great. Loved it.
I hope you received. Well, I know that you've received therapy since, and I'm glad of that.
I just came from there.
So then music, games. Oh, the last
to know also like I cannot imagine, bless their heart, the Conlangers that play like Overwatch and Call of Duty. Like I can't imagine that being a very like overlapping Venn diagram. Dark Souls, yes, absolutely, I can imagine that. Like Call of Duty, Fortnite, no.
What are you trying to say about Conlangers, Miles?
I just think like they would rather play like Stardew Valley, or they would rather play like Bus Simulator 2022. Like I think like, I mean, maybe I'm like projecting here, but like to me, like a first-person shooter, a Conlanger does not make. Like I just don't think those.
And you never know. They might be interested in the Farsi being spoken by the Taliban as you shoot them dead.
Oh boy.
Oh, not Farsi. That could have been Dari.
Yeah.
Or
maybe we should tune in to twitch.com/McCainNL. Maybe we can get some good ideas of what people play.
I mean, I think that having Conlangs in first-person shooters would help depoliticize the theme. Well, we don't really want to depoliticize gun violence, but
we have enough of that over here.
Yeah. We don't have enough of that here. Bring guns to the UK.
Please take it.
Moving on.
Rightfully so.
Oh my god, one of our big successes.
Yes, this was such a relief.
Oh my god, I know.
Me. So this was what was the first Conlang you heard of?
Yeah,
I said two of them, not knowing if it would be two answers, and then
which is bizarre. I mean,
yeah, I still don't think that it doesn't really make sense. Who's heard of Quenya before Sindarin? But
I think I was aware of Quenya before Sindarin.
Why? How?
Because I think Quenya was how I was introduced to the writing system.
So you were introduced through the books or movies themselves?
I've never seen a Lord of the Rings film or read the books.
I'm about to hang up on this call.
I haven't watched it. Like my first time watching the first one was maybe in college, so 10 years ago. But I've never seen them since. Or no, I lie. I've seen them very infrequently since. The Lord of the Rings was not a very monumental thing for me.
I read the Hobbit.
I read that doesn't count. I read those books in middle school for the first time, and then several times after that. Wow. I mean, it would take me way too long, but I could find the fantasy maps and things I drew when I was 8 based on the maps that were in that book. Yes. With made up words and stuff, but not actual Conlang stuff because I didn't know how that worked yet. I
mean, you could call it a naming language.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I would have to look at it again to see if what was going on there.
I mean, it kind of ties back to that question of when did you start Conlanging? Because
yes,
I had started my Chinese lessons when I was little, and I just started kind of playing with the syllables and the sounds and stuff. And I'm like, was I conlanging?
Yeah.
And it paved the way for it. Would I call it a conlang based on my current criteria? No, but I wouldn't call the drawings I did drawings based on my current.
I mean, for my answer for that question, I did not include stuff of that period. I said 18 to 20 or whatever that range was, because that's when I started like making things that at the time I was thinking of as conlangs. Yeah. So, but it's still extremely influenced by Tolkien stuff.
Oh.
Although a little indirectly at that point, I would say. Anyway.
And we managed to win with 270 points to 109, based entirely off of round 3.
Let's go.
Yeah. Wow.
So some of these were just too obvious.
Are we talking about the 1 minute round?
Yeah, back on the 1 minute round.
I don't remember
where these people are from, and it's an online survey that was written in English.
So
yeah. Like, if you ask something like that online in Spanish, I think it would be harder to guess. But in English, like, it's just USA every time.
Yeah.
Then it was this the if you could redo it one, or if you had to pick one for the UN one?
This was if you could redo it.
And oh my god.
Come on.
Esperanto, hands down. Yeah.
But because the thing is, even if you don't really believe that Esperanto is bad, it's such a strong meme. There's no way that you're gonna like go with anything else.
But also just like I feel like many of us probably fantasize about the idea of having people who speak it fluently, and like I feel like that if you're saying that you would redo it, you could be like imagining yourself going back and like using your own Esperanto, putting it back in time, and then now you've got native speakers somehow.
You say that, but like when I was making Pankashku, I intentionally left it super open because I was afraid that I didn't want to let myself believe the actors were going to do anything radical with it.
What do you mean open?
So, like, for example, my rhotic phoneme, I just kind of defined it as a rhotic that could be flapped or could be an approximant or could be trilled. I did try and avoid the trill, but I knew like if it was a Spanish first language speaker, probably it would be a trill in initial position.
I think I didn't really mean this so much in the sense of like substituting one of your other languages for Esperanto. I think like it's sort of like if you had the opportunity to do this, would you? And I think that's how I viewed that anyway.
If you had the opportunity to change Esperanto's fate, would you?
I
anyway, like the Avatar: The Last Airbender one was so...
I'm embarrassed about that.
I am too. It was
but we had no idea what the other two questions were going to be, right?
The other two are like, what is your best documentation?
No, we only went with Gravity Falls because we weren't allowed to pass.
Yes. Yeah, we were just trying to get past it. So the question being, what should have had a conlang and didn't for a TV show? And I just immediately couldn't think of a single TV show that existed.
No.
I mean, my first, no, that's not true. My first thought was Star Trek, which, I mean, that's just because that's my first thought for a TV show in general. And like, there could always be more in Star Trek. So like, if the question was rephrased as what show should have a conlang, would you add a conlang to, then it would still be that. But in this case, obviously that was not an appropriate answer.
I think looking back, it feels annoying to see it because so many people talk about making Conlang for Avatar.
I've never watched.
I think it's partly a mental block because when I think Avatar, I do go straight to Navi and James Cameron.
That's funny to me because so many people are like, I mean, outside of Conlangers, people are like, "What's that Avatar? The only real one is Last Airbender," and like,
absolutely.
But I've never seen the show. Sorry,
no,
I haven't seen any of it either, actually.
Valley's lives made more sense. You had a whole ocean separating you from it, but like,
what?
Unless
they take place in the U.S.
What channel was it on in the U.S.?
Nickelodeon.
I think it's just that I didn't have Nickelodeon. It's not, we do have that here. We just didn't have it as kids.
What number channel was Nickelodeon for you, Jonathan?
Oh my god.
6 and 10 were Disney Channel and Nickelodeon.
Don't remember. It was definitely not that. It was much higher. I want to say like 40 something, but I'm just totally making that up.
It was, for me, it was 42 was Bravo, 43 was Cartoon Network, 44 was the Turner Channel movies, and then 45 was HGTV. No, HG was 51. Anyway, 45
Bravo was like really gay, right?
What? Yes, Bravo is very gay.
Yeah. Oh. I found it so weird that there was like effectively a gay TV channel in the US because we don't have anything like that here. I was like, what? There must be so many gay people in the US to have Bravo.
Well, it was Bravo, right? Where like it wasn't like explicitly, it just had a lot of like LGBTQ representation, and then Logo happened, which, you know, that's when like things started to get like actual like marketed towards queer people.
There's also like, I feel like Bravo left it open enough that you were gonna get like middle-aged mums watching as well.
Oh yeah, like where would we be without the housewives? Like, I mean, that's the target demographic. Oh.
Yeah, both on and off the screen. I've also never seen a full episode of Real Housewives. I just haven't watched that much TV.
That's fine, but like, okay, last little bit, and then we're moving on. But like the Housewives, like, I do not know how to tell you how to start watching the Housewives, because it is a franchise that has been going on for years. Like, the webs of red twine you can draw.
No, I remember starting Drag Race, and it was like I started watching like every week with All Stars 2, and I was like, oh my god, I've got like 7 seasons to catch up on. How will I ever manage? Now it's like, I know that Drag Race Philippines season 3 exists. Do I have time to watch it?
No.
So that's fun.
No. Yes, spreadsheets.
The spreadsheet. So, that was really a massive toss-up. I
was certain. I was so certain.
I was absolutely certain.
I guess spreadsheets are like the best documentation tool, or that people would say that is the case. But also, that's what I answered.
I have transitioned from spreadsheets to a Word doc.
That's progress, Miles.
I think it is too.
I have different formats for different languages that have different needs. Yeah. So
yeah, that's valid.
I do love like
make languages that don't work like a lot of other languages.
Yes, it's very, very helpful with stuff to have a spreadsheet where I can sort by like how the notes go and stuff in a way that makes sense, and also keep track of like which words are transpositions of other words and things like that. It's just so much easier to keep track of.
So demure, so mindful,
very cutesy,
very considerate.
You're not like these other girls. You don't go and get Wingstop when you're done.
No, very demure, very mindful.
You're looking after your body.
We don't merge and center ourselves because we have to use filter view. Very demure, very mindful.
What's happening?
And this joke is also going to be horribly out of date, possibly even by the time we upload this, because it's already at the end of its meme peak. Like,
I don't know what this is.
It's just TikTok brain rot bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whatever viewers are confused, I'm right there with you.
Mm-hmm. We can educate you. We can upload stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
There's always time for you to rot with us. And then, okay, the Artland thing, I just think it's because on some level, Artlang seems to just be, if you're a hobbyist, most of the time, you're just doing it for the sake of it, which is kind of not fully what Artlanging is, but yeah.
It's like a more umbrella-ish thing to me, where like it doesn't have an explicit purpose. It's done for an artistic thing.
I mean, the trouble with this question was that the phrasing was so broad. It was just, what's your favorite type of conlang to create? And we could have interpreted that so many ways, and we chose the right one.
Yeah.
But like, we could easily have, I mean, gone with like
oral, spoken,
sure, or I don't even know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it was
good,
more likely that we would have gone the way it was intended. But we could have failed that easily. All right.
So I think for the sake of time, we're gonna skip over episode 3.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, mostly we haven't actually been talking about how we felt. We've just been arguing with the answers.
That's called. I mean, yes, and I mean
is that not just expressing how we feel, though?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And your feelings are valid.
Aw, thank you.
Okay, worst vowel phonemes.
Oh,
this one.
God, that chart just like hurts to look at, though.
It really does. I am surprised that Ash is on there. I mean, I kind of get it.
You should not be.
I don't know.
You have no idea how.
Is it just because I'm American that I'm surprised?
Yes.
Okay.
No, because I think that Americans naturally produce it distinct from
yes,
and it's really and also distinct from air.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone whose dialect has air and but not an air and but not like it feels really uncomfortable to be in the middle position.
It's like the front open.
Yeah, it's like, why is my mouth so open and so front?
I feel like it's a weird one, especially because as a phoneme, not as a sound, because it has so many different realizations in American English.
Yeah.
Where like, if you think of like, I don't know, there's people who will use it before English, but it's like not that. Like hang is a, it's not a. But then there's also like can, CAN, which I pronounce like can, like really high. And like it just goes all sorts of different places. So I think maybe the mouth just doesn't want to say So I guess I can kind of get that.
Knows, Jonathan. The mouth knows.
But some heavy hitter. I mean, it seems like people hate back on rounded vowels, which, solidarity.
Is the other one that kind of surprises me.
Yeah.
I think when you learn English, if you're a native speaker, you don't think about them as weird. Then you study linguistics and you're like, oh, most languages don't have these vowels. And when we hear them in positions where they don't exist in English, people find it weird. I think because it would be wrong to have like a stressed schwa. And so when you're like, oh, it's and they're like, oh, why is that vowel like that?
Which, I was going to get pho tonight. That sounds tasty.
I haven't figured out what I'm having for dinner tonight. I have no idea.
Actually, I just had noodles, so I don't know.
Yeah, we know.
We know. We saw.
Sorry.
It's on camera.
Yeah.
We actually opened with you slurping those noodles down.
I remember this.
Sliding down that gullet of yours.
I mean, with that open front rounded vowel, then yeah, it's going to
just like, oh.
I don't even know what like to otherwise call it a closed 3. I don't know what she is. I don't know who like.
Oh yeah, I forgot that one exists. I
could
probably point it out on the. I almost called it a map, the diagram if I had to, but I'm not like certain I could do it correctly. As opposed to I could do the rest of them, but it would have to be process of elimination, I think.
I'm on that.
Like,
Well, that's the other thing is that I feel like a lot of English speakers, for so many vowels, they just sound the same. Like, I know it's very weird that a front, like mid-ish rounded vowel should sound like a back open one, but they do to me.
Well, it's just because they're not phonemic for most of us.
Yeah.
So you hear the rounded, you hear the round.
Hear the round.
Hear the round.
Row the boat, row.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Just.
I said ram's horn. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, and that was a good call.
That was an excellent guess.
I think I guessed Bard Eye. Again, forgetting that it was on the favorites list.
I thought I was the one. Maybe I did Bard You, but I know I guess
I think maybe I did Bard You. Or what? I think we both went there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we can draw this.
To me, this one, so the question is, what is your favorite translating like text? Your favorite like thing to like to
okay,
put in like translation text to like.
This was the other one that.
This is the one that was phrased like I would have never, just by pure psychological like prodding, would have never said I don't have one, even though like I don't.
I have. Was this the one that you answered and then it?
Yes. This is one where I said both things, and then we didn't answer them.
I was like, you need to answer none, but it's okay.
No. Oh.
I mean, it took me a second to get there also because it's like the question primes you to think of a text, and that's just not where. What is UDHR? I don't.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Yes.
That's one I said because I think that because like that is short, that is sweet. People see that all the time. So I mean, like it's just exposure. The B movie to me, like oh my god! According to like any laws of physics, like it is known that a bee cannot fly.
There are so many weird things about that text as something to translate into a conlang, especially as a test text. It's got so many assumptions about culture. If you're going into that side of things, it's got some weird like.
The bees so much going on, like climate and ecology. Mm-hmm. The laws.
The concept of a law of aviation is such a culturally specific thing that I would never use that. Well, I mean, at least not early on in the development of the language, and I don't know why I would bother later on. I don't know.
To even like have a word. I mean, usually like I start pretty like not prehistoric, but I mean like pre-airplane when I like calling. I mean, I don't like I doubt I would be in a minority there.
I mean. No, I've said it, and we don't edit our podcast, so I have to say something now. So I'm gonna advertise the Lagtype Studio recipe relay that's coming up at some point in the future. I will reveal here, as a bonus for the people who get this far, that I'm going to be using Pankashku, and it has the massive benefit of being spoken by, at least in the context of the film, some people who live in like 21st century Peru.
Okay.
And it means that they have access to like a huge range of things, and also the same plants that we have access to, because it's set in a very slightly different version of the same world we're in.
Right.
And I'm really worried that it's going to get to someone else and they're going to change all the ingredients to like, oh, this is a plant that looks like a banana but tastes like ginger or something like that.
But no, like, the whole point is like you like one would have to like show like they have to make the thing, no? Like
no, but
I think that's optional, right?
You don't
maybe.
Yeah, you don't have to make it if you don't want to. I'm not going to force people to make something. I have tried to make it.
I mean, it is going to have onions in it, right?
What?
It is going to have onions in it, though, right?
Optionally. Like I want David to have to say I didn't follow the recipe because I left him out.
So I apologize for my neighbor here who has been saying for like the past like on like pretty occasion, like for every 20 minutes right now. So if you can hear that, I apologize, but it's been
hear it.
Me.
We can hear it, but I am pleased to know that that's happening.
I'm generally curious as to why like they're like emoting in this manner, like I could like rather fervent.
Expressing something.
Yeah, it's very bizarre, especially at like a random time in the day. Anyway, we'll get that out there.
Thanks for letting us know.
No, it's very demure, very cute.
Flavor.
Very mindful of you.
I know. This question.
This was my moment. My time to shine.
Oh, I lost the thing. Where are we? Which one?
The favorite duplication.
Yes.
And
oh my god.
Basically, how long can we make David wait for one of us to figure out what it was?
I could not think of anything other than what had already been said. Like iterative or plural were the only things I feel like I could think of, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever actually used reduplication in a Conlang. I should do that sometime.
I think you really should. Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know. All right.
You got the full Jake next to the camera experience.
They're bursting.
The thumbnail look.
You got the big Jake, yes.
It's like normal size.
Oh my god. I don't like that close. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think I've ever used it. I don't know why.
It's been very rare. I maybe only use it like twice, probably. Like, well, Yatzlau is obviously one, but like maybe I don't think of one where I had like done a solo, maybe once or twice, but it's very rare that I've used it.
So what I'm gonna
make a note to myself to use it in my current projects.
Yes.
Valia.
Sure.
Oh.
Valia?
But yeah, second stress. I mean, it's not phonemic, and it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be not a cluster, but the rotated Y. But same difference.
How
really.
do you pronounce that? That's my question.
Yeah. I'm not doing the right vowel now, but it's like 4 vowel system, so who cares about that?
Ooh.
Anyway, it's going to have some sort of a duplication. I don't know for what, but it will.
Nice.
Maybe like a habitual, because I haven't figured out how I'm doing that yet.
I love how, through this question, we've helped you, or
yes,
the collective has helped.
yeah,
The-
much appreciated.
We've really augmented your language
Mhm.
in a additive way. No, it was literally just I was scanning my head for like every single use of the diminutive that I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
You mean
Like,
duplication?
yeah, I was just like
Yeah.
cycling through languages I had studied. Like it, I think, did I bring up the idea of like idiot? No, I had forgotten the word idiophone in the moment. I was like, oh, onomatopoeia, and they were like,
Oh yeah.
and I think I got stuck on. It was very hard to tell whether the iterative imperfect. Wait, does it say? No, it said continuous.
No.
Continuous / iterative, which I would say should be two separate categories.
I would agree with that too.
Those are totally different things, but whatever.
Well,
but I would have been surprised if there was then an imperfective or something like that, or not. Sorry, is that the one I mean? These terms. Yeah, imperfect.
Yeah,
okay. I always have to think about that a little too long.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that it's the whole thing in like mama, papa, dada.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I forgot the word for diminutive, and I had to be like, "Oh, it's the anti." Because, no, I was like the one that makes a noun that's nicer.
Oh yeah, that was very confusing.
Nicer.
Nicer. That's so funny.
Placative.
Like, what the fuck are you saying? And I remember in that moment, I thought, like, based on previous episodes, if we won that question, I thought we were going to win the whole thing. And then we got to the scores, and I saw it, and it was like, my elation was suddenly brought back home. I was like, no, I did not win this.
That's okay.
To be fair, considering
we got close.
It was so close.
It was close, but also we did so badly on the first 2 rounds. We would have been stolen valor anyway if we had won based on stealing the question.
I think the right hierarchy had been established. Let's say that. I think we had accepted defeat from a worthy opponent, and I think we needed to be vanquished in the end.
What are you saying about Team Conlang, Miles?
I was about to say.
Right now, nothing.
Right.
Not mean, but I'm not saying. I'm like, I'm not saying. It could be argued that we are a spinoff of LTS. I think that's fair to say, and I think that like the junior needs to be humble against the senior. I think that's what I'm kind of saying.
But literally, if we had like got, I think, one question. Oh, there was the whole round 1A, round 1B thing.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that change in format.
All of that or not? I think I missed the next one.
I think it was I don't remember which one it was. But
yeah, I don't either.
I missed the best online conlanging resource question.
My god.
So we're rewinding. Rewind.
Yes.
So, I don't know why. I guess maybe there was 2 questions that David didn't want to leave out or something.
Yeah, I wish it was just 1, 2, 3, and 4 instead of 1A, 2A.
Yeah,
but
So the question is, what's the best online conlanging resource? And this is particularly frustrating because what's defined, it was never defined whether it was a resource that can be used for conlanging or a resource specifically for conlanging.
Yeah.
No.
Because so the answers, we start off with like the larger, why can't I use my words? The one which got the highest number of votes was Zompist. Then Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And then Biblaridian. And so Zompist is like very specific. Wikipedia is general.
Mm-hmm.
Biblaridian is like a mixture of two things, which I'm not upset the Biblaridian's on there at all.
Yeah, no.
Then we go to Walls, which is like useful for conlangers, but also not a conlanging resource. It's more of a linguistics resource, but conlangers use it.
Mm-hmm.
And then people didn't reply Reddit; they replied r/conlangs,
which I mean, how is that in any way a resource? It's like, I guess it's just sort of like having other people to ask, but that's just other people. That's not. Yeah.
And then there's Con Workshop, and so it's like such a mixed bag.
I cannot believe that Index Diachronica was not higher.
Same.
Like, I mean, 6 people apparently answered, or sorry, 6 or would have been fewer, so 5 or fewer people, right?
No, which, but also, like, this was doubled, wasn't it?
Was it? No, because there's a 13 in there. Because this is 1B.
It was 1B, wasn't it?
So like, yeah. I mean, seriously, fewer than, I mean, of all the Langtime people that answered the survey, 5 or fewer answered Index Diachronica. Like, what?
Well, I'm not sure if I said Index Diachronica or the Arts of Language Invention.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not apologizing for it, but I kind of thought that other people would be like me in that if they're answering a survey that David sent out, and like me, they kind of started conlanging as a result of David's work. Why wasn't David featured more prominently on these things?
It's a valid question. It's a valid question.
Like, I know I go between feeling like I'm much older than I have ever felt before, which is true because I am older than I've ever been before. But like when David instantly wrote off the idea that people would be introduced to conlanging from Dothraki, when it was only about a few years after Avatar.
It was, I remember being in like high school physics and like having people talk about like the Game of Thrones episode from last night. Like I vividly remember that. And like that was probably what, like 17. So that was honestly could have been like my first, because I didn't watch Star Trek. Like I didn't watch like Lord of the Rings. Like that was probably like my main foray into like, I don't know, like modern usage of conlangs in fiction. Or no, I'm sorry, Parcel Tongue was mine because we love a good Harry Potter reference.
I mean,
girl,
so many reasons not to have said that, and yet you chose to anyway.
Oh, hey, bless her black mold. It's doing so good. Let that thing grow. Black mold.
Or is it actually? If the rumors are to be believed, is it the Black Vault that's transphobic all along? Is fungi transphobic? That's the real question.
I don't think so. Fungi have like so many genders.
Yeah, I was about to say they like,
but they don't want to change between them.
We got one more round. Are we good?
Do we? Oh, jeez. Okay, what's left?
We got just the final little doodle. So
right.
The fact that base 12 like over base 10 stunned, shocked.
No, well, no, because the right answer, the right column is the most popular answer, right?
Oh no.
No,
I think base 12 would have been popular.
Oh, you the fact that it
wasn't the most popular. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. I feel like this has got to be another like splitting the vote situation where People will have their favorite non-base 10 base, but it's not going to be the same one for different people. I don't know.
Did I argue for base in favor of base 10 or not? I think I went with 12. 12?
Well, we were answering these, right?
That's true. I was arguing with myself in my head. That's what was going on. And also,
we discussed it after. Yes.
The extreme mood shift from "oh my god, I got it right" to "oh no." It was all a bit of a haze after that point for me. Like,
I think this could also be attributed to the sample size, because I think like thinking about number base outside of 10 is difficult. I'm not gonna lie. So I think like there is some like security. It's just like 1 to 10. It's common metric. We love it. So be it.
But also, there's a whole bunch of Conlangers that aren't into maths like me.
Yeah, exactly.
and also,
there's at least one who seems to be in it specifically for the math.
Oh,
true.
We got some numbers.
Obviously, my eyebrows weren't loud enough for the camera. So you've all missed out on that.
No,
because you're not showing the slides, are you?
What?
You're not showing the slides, are you?
No,
but they have seen that. Oh, is it just us giant
gallery mode, which maybe is a mistake. But I think that's like isn't that a Zoom thing more than a?
I don't know.
I've
been seeing all of us at all times, so I just assumed that's what was going on.
I thought it's like the one that's blue is the one that's being recorded.
Maybe so.
That's
what we're used to for percent.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
What
are the other ones? The Esperanto one, I don't remember what the Esperanto.
It was overrated. Most overrated.
Obviously.
I think, right?
But the thing is that I'm really embarrassed I forgot his name. People want to call Esperanto overrated because it annoys the people who try and defend it so much that it's incredibly funny just to call it overrated. At least for me.
I was gonna say this like when we first brought it up, but like to me, like I think like Jan Measley did such a good job at explaining it, like the pitfalls of Esperanto, that I think it's like that is like calling like JD Dance weird. Like I think those two are like the same pivotal energy.
I really need to go back and rewatch some Conlang Critic episodes. It's been too long. I was like actually planning on doing that as like review before we started this, and I just didn't have time.
No, it's a good nostalgia.
Probably would not have helped much with the questions we ended up getting, but still. No.
So the hardest part of conlanging, creating verbs or creating vocabulary.
Oh yeah, what was the answer?
Vocab was the real
vocab. Yeah, that's weird, but I get it.
Yeah,
but I do think.
I get it based on what I've seen people talk about, not personally.
But the verbs thing, I think, is also kind of a David-specific meme on some level, isn't it? It's verbs. What horrible
on
things
some level,
do.
but I think it's. I think it's.
There's some truth to it.
Yeah, because it is true that verbs are complicated or can be, and there's just so much stuff that can happen with them. I think that like it's an opinion that David has for a good reason, and because he has expressed it in certain ways, it has become a meme. But I don't think it's
I think they're difficult for two different reasons. I think the verbs are difficult because it's just a complex thing to like get your head around to like create them, versus like creating vocabulary is difficult because it's just kind of brunt force work. And you just have to kind of just like get those words out. And I think that's
a lot of
where it comes in. Yeah.
I think a lot of people just, with the vocabulary, it's also like probably two-pronged in like that it's both coming up with forms people seem to struggle with a lot, and then also like not doing a relex and like having interesting ways that you can like have different kinds of polysemy and stuff like that. And which I think is fun. But also, I can see how that would be really difficult for some people.
And especially if you have like a fusional language where you have to kind of have like a little bit some more citation forms and you probably assist it out, like making sure like all your dictionaries are like very organized in that regard. That's difficult. That's hard to keep.
Yeah. That's why a spreadsheet could help.
I still believe.
You didn't see the faces I just witnessed were.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say this. I think having like the document to explain the grammar and then like a spreadsheet, like link to a spreadsheet with the lexicon, I think that's a valid combination.
Is it though?
Of course. Wait, did you think that I meant like all of the documentation to be in a spreadsheet?
Oh God.
Well.
Because no.
Imagine if all of the documentation were in a spreadsheet.
Ooh.
Imagine if it was just in a chart somewhere.
Tables.
No, that would be bad.
I think favorite manner of articulation, fricative. You know, we love them. There are a lot of them.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Wait, I don't think.
Not my answer, but I get
Not my
it.
answer either, but I understand where it comes from.
But if it's none of our answers, what sort of person prefers fricatives?
The majority.
I think it might be. I mean, this might be an instance of people picking their favorite sound and then the category it belongs to.
Yeah, that's true.
Because and like it was pointed out, I think in the chat that there's just like so many fricatives.
It's the most prevalent of all of them.
So
but
like
there's so many stops. There's so many
yeah,
stops.
but stops.
Stops are equally better than fricatives.
I don't know. I like a good nasal.
Ooh,
but
yes,
Me too.
And then if we can get more specific, then it would be more specific. But you know, what was the last question?
The ongoing projects.
Ah, yes. How many? And somehow people do only one at a time. I don't get that at all.
Don't. No.
I think it makes sense because, again, I think it's a split vote thing.
Probably.
Like, I think that if you're someone, there will be a kind of person who works on one thing and then leaves it and then does another thing. And there'll be a kind of person who does a lot of things, but they will leave it all at different stages. Like Arias describes how like she will like completely not completely destroy, but work on something and then completely give it up, right?
To me, it's like, how do you phrase it? It's like you have your main one, and then you kind of like need to have like someone's to kind of like separate out your ideas going on. Like Yatsao is like basically finished-ish. Like, I mean, the grammar's there, but like if I want to like have something that's new that like Yatsao just can't do, then my only option is to create something else. So I need to have something ongoing to do that for. And I think that's why maybe like the higher number was guessed. And I mean like the yeah.
Well, Jessie said she had like 10 projects on the go.
Which
is just very Jessie's.
Yes, it really is.
I can't multitask that well.
Me neither. I can only really have like I have several that in theory I will come back to, but I don't know if I actually will get around to it. I have like 2 that I'm actively developing, but I like in any given month, I'm almost certainly just looking at one of them. Absolutely. I just can't. Yeah. But I go back to like Towel to do like little translations and stuff. Oh, yeah. But like in terms of, I mean, the grammar is intentionally extremely simple, so that's been done basically since the beginning, and it's just building vocabulary, and there's always more of that to do. So yeah, I don't know.
Frank.
What was that?
Wait, that's the opposite of what you're saying. I said there's always more grams to bank.
There's always more grams to bank. I like that.
Like
don't know how to interpret that.
Like in The Weakest Link.
I thought you were making a pun on Gambit.
I think.
Well, yes.
I'm like, you have The Weakest Link, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when RuPaul was on there? She did great.
I thought RuPaul was on the British one.
Well, no, it definitely aired here.
The one with RuPaul on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, she was like here a little bit. Here's that.
You mean the American citizen RuPaul Charles?
No, well, yeah, but no, like the hosts.
Okay.
I don't know her name.
Uh-huh.
But she was here.
The original British one? And
yeah,
woman.
The mean woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mean woman.
I don't know her name.
Misogynist.
That's what. Let's cite her.
She's just a strong, empowered woman.
It's now hosted by Jane Lynch, which is
Isn't that the one who starred as the coach in
yeah, she's Sue Sylvester.
I've literally never heard of this show before.
The Weakest Link or Glee?
No, Weakest Link.
Oh, so Anne Robinson was her name. I guess it got revived. I guess it's now got revived now, and Romesh Ranganathan is the host. Ranganathan, sorry. I do like him. I think he's very funny and nice.
Yeah. Anyway, should we wrap up?
I think we should. Yeah.
It's a ending on a Anne Robinson tangent.
In proper Bouba style.
A very, very brief shout out to the question on favorite natural language family, which everyone answered wrong. Every single person who made it onto that board answered wrong, and I will not be explaining myself further.
I know what I put for that. I am stunned and just shocked by the.
What did you put, Jonathan?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I put Algonquian.
I really don't remember what I answered. It might have been Celtic.
You guessed a
subfamily?
Well, see, that's the thing. It was not clear if what level it was supposed to be at, and I have feelings about how this question was.
Yeah, it could have been clearer.
So, but that is just a guess. I could be totally misremembering.
So I'll leave you with the blurry image of my magnet that I got.
Yay!
Have you got your prizes yet?
I forgot to order it.
I haven't ordered. I don't. Yeah, I don't know what
I need more Mate Thermos stickers and more bumper stickers. Oh my god. While Conlang Conflict was happening, I bought this adorable little sticker, and it was I think I can find a picture of it, but it's like Kate Bush, like her head, and then like on the bottom it's this like little figure doing a little dance in a red dress, and it has like the first little refrain of Wuthering Heights, and it's very cute. It's very campy, and I love it.
For a second, I was like, "You're very cute." It's very demure.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I was like, "Not again."
I have transitioned my brain rot now to Duolingo, so I'm hoping that like, I don't end up like in Mushland, but I think we're gonna be okay.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh,
what a wonderful way to say goodbye.
Close out the episode.
Oh my gosh!
You have a kitty who doesn't really want to be doing this, but she'll be okay for a few moments. Say goodbye to everyone, and also hi. Okay.
Okay. We get to see both sides of Laguna.
Yes. Oh. Okay, she's on her way out, I think. Oh, she's sniffing the computer now.
Oh gosh.
She's trying to decide where to go. What do you want to do?
Oh my god.
Okay.
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 Bye all.
Okay.
Bye.